morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles Powell. I'm the director of the Elcano Royal Institute, and today we are very honored and pleased to have with us Deputy Foreign Minister of Georgia, Mr. Janjalia. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to be with you.
So you are here to promote the cause of Georgian accession to the European Union, and we've just had a very interesting conversation about the challenges that Georgia is facing in this long road to full accession, which of course we would all like to see completed as soon as possible. Can you tell us a little about the main challenges that Georgia is facing with regard to the accession process and the reforms that you are currently undertaking in order to meet those challenges?
So Georgia is a devoted partner of European Union, and we have proved it already for decades. And we are really happy that we have quite a close relations with European Union. We have association agreement with European Union. We have the deep and comprehensive free trade agreement with the European. In fact, at this moment, we have implemented up to 65% of the association agreement and the CFTA, which is a really good result. Recent developments, Russian aggression in Ukraine, have accelerated the process, and we have considered that, and it's a real fact that there is a window of opportunity to make my country much more closer to the European Union. So we accelerated this process, and all the obligations which we have taken within these agreements, which are the main bodies when it comes to the Georgia-EU relations, we accelerated, and we now, if we are considering that we were going to apply for EU membership in 2027. Now we are going to we have applied for the membership, and we are going to finalize the implementation of the association agreement. I mean, finalizing up to 80-85% of the association agreement obligations are going to be either incorporated into the Georgian legislation or taken on board as regulations, would it be economy or other spheres of my country. And as I mentioned, so we are in the process. As I mentioned, we are in the process, and recent developments again, and the enlargement package, which Georgia is a part of the enlargement package, have given the new possibilities to accelerate and to make my country much more closer to European Union. I really do hope that we'll be successful. I really do hope that what we have taken as obligations will be delivered, and my government is devoted to the process. The parliament, Georgian parliament, is devoted to the process, and we proved it last year when it comes to the implementation of the 12 recommendations, and it's going to be the same manner regarding the 9 recommendations.
And what are the biggest difficulties? You have to modernize your administration, for example, which is something that all countries that want to join the EU have had to do. You have to guarantee, obviously, the independence of the judiciary. What are the biggest challenges, would you say?
I think that the biggest challenge is, so when it comes to the modernization, when it comes to the approach from the governmental institutions to the concrete obligations which we are taking on this path, it is not so challenging as the problems within the country itself. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, internal situation, unfortunately, the word which is a depolarization, and it was taken already in our political life several years ago, and it could not be implemented because many entities the political entities in Georgia are really polarized. It's a main problem in our country because what I have mentioned, the population, government, the parliament are standing in favor of European Union integration process. And the government as a responsible body, as a parliament, as a legislative body are delivering on this regard. But unfortunately, the balance within the political forces is not good. It's quite a negative. And the main reason behind all the processes what we have now within the country is it's again polarization. Again, this brings polarization within the population as well, because it's a democratic country, and some of them are supporting one or another party, and it's really difficult again to have some mutual understanding and mutual vision how the political parties are going to proceed further. And this year we have the election year. The parliamentary elections are going to happen in Georgia, and it's a challenge as well. So it's a challenge, especially within the capital, but as well as within the regions. And Parliament is trying somehow to decrease these tensions, somehow to deliver more information to the population, to make it the process more smooth and to be more oriented on the concrete deliverables, which we are working on, and to show our population that notwithstanding all these fights which are happening within the country, between the political forces, the process continues, the process of Georgia's EU integration, to make my country more democratic, more developed, more rule-based country is in the positive manner, and we are making this progress, and we should do it in the same.
Spain, as you may know, is also extremely polarized these days, so welcome to the club. Polarization, I think, affects all of our democracies in much of Europe and beyond Europe. In Spain, of course, membership of the EU is to some extent the glue that holds us all together, and some people argue that without EU membership, the lid would blow off. Do you look forward to a situation in which EU membership might have this kind of beneficial impact in Georgia?
I think that we are pragmatic people, and we are not considering that EU membership will come very soon. But we are working on ourselves, and we are delivering. So as I'm several times I'm repeating myself always that yes, we are not exceptional and without any problems. So we are making mistakes as well, but we are learning as well on this way, and we are doing our best to reach the final point, which is a EU membership. But on this road, when we are delivering, we would like as well to have some concrete benefits and to have some concrete signals from European Union. For example, the signal on visa-free travel from European Union was taken by the Georgian population, and an excellent opportunity for us as well to show how Europe delivers on this way. And we have several projects as well with European Union now, which can be implemented and to bring the concrete benefits, not only to state, but to the concrete persons, concrete businesses, concrete members of our population. And it's really important when we are delivering to have a response on this, to progress on this path, and finally, when we will be ready, first of all, and when Europe will be ready to be part of European Union. And we are considering there is no alternative to be part, except to be part of European Union. There is no alternative except to be part of the NATO. And we have incorporated in our constitutions both directions, and both dimensions are obligatory for each and every parliament and each and every government who comes to the country to follow this path. And I really do hope that with this devotion, with these processes, of course, I mentioned some problems as well, but we will overcome all these problems and we will manage to be the part of the European Union and NATO.
Georgia, of course, faces a very specific challenge, which is the fact that you have a Russian military presence on Georgian soil, which is a very regrettable anomaly. And obviously this is disruptive from all sorts of points of view in terms of your economic development, in terms of your security. How do you see that situation playing out? I mean, you have stressed in your talk that you live in a very difficult neighborhood, and I think we all fully understand that, as do many other candidate countries. You're not alone in that regard, but your specificity is really quite unique. So how does Georgia face up to this phenomenon on a daily level?
Yes, it's a daily level. It's a daily feeling. It's a daily challenge. What we are feeling. It's a Russian aggression and Russian occupation. Russia still occupies already for 3 decades. Occupies our sovereign territories. Around 20% of the Georgian territories are occupied by Russia, and Russian military forces are standing on both occupied territories permanently. So, and there is a huge military forces allocated at this.
What's the size of the Russian contingent?
Before the war in Ukraine, according to our information, we were counting that up to 12,000 Russian military forces were stationed in both regions with a heavy military equipment, especially in the South Ossetian region, so-called S-300 rockets. Were located, and from this place, from South Ossetia, these rockets can reach any place in our region, not only in Georgia, but any place in our region. After war in Ukraine, so at the initial war started in Ukraine, at the initial stage, the military contingent of Russia decreased in both regions. But in several months, if I'm not mistaken, after a half a year, this number again reached up to the 10,000. And what is really new development, so the so-called S-300 rockets are not only now in Southeast Asia, but in Abkhazia region as well. Mm-hmm. So in both regions now, the Russians are keeping these rockets and they are controlling the territory. Again, what I mentioned, not only Georgia, but of the whole region. And what the developments are within the region. So some players are saying that, come on, it's not possible when war is in Ukraine to keep such a large amount of military forces in both occupied territories. But we are witnessing every day activities of these Russian military forces. If I'm not mistaken, only during the last year, up to 100 military exercises have been taking place in both occupied regions of Georgia. Russian military forces were making even military exercises using all the military equipment and ammunition and personality, which means that they're paying huge attention to the regions. They're considering for them as strategically important to be on place. And we always are asking our partners that Georgia alone cannot reach anything when it comes to the Russian aggression, when it comes to the Russian occupation. And we're always asking our partners to begin engaged in the process, to always raise this issue. Would it be on bilateral level or would it be on the multilateral level? To rise and to signal Russia that any aggressive action, again, towards Georgia will be punished. Because Georgia is becoming, as I mentioned already, a really important player when it comes to the transportation of energy sources, when it comes to the transport links between instances. The so-called middle corridor is going through Georgia. So Georgia is owning the main seaports on the Black Sea, which connects east with that west, and we are implementing really important projects. So I'm always saying that Georgia is not caring about its security and its, of course, independence, but sovereignty. But again, we are responsible not only to our population, but we are responsible globally. So we are responsible to our partners as well to keep our country as safe as possible and to keep these corridors, to keep these lines of communication as safe as possible. And because of this, we as well are asking our partners to be engaged in the processes, to deliver more on this, to show the clear signals, especially to our northern neighbor, to Russians, that there is no just a single Georgia or single Russia. There is a Georgia backed by the Western community and with a strong community which will be which reacts and will react on any aggressive acts of Russia.
And what impact has the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine had on everyday Georgians, normal Georgians? I suppose if there is a positive aspect, I didn't really see any positive aspect, but at least now other people will realize that you are not alone in being occupied by Russia.
Yes, unfortunately, what we have seeing in Ukraine, it's an experience of Georgia. We had 3 wars with Russia during the last 3 decades. So 3 wars. Imagine such a small country, such as Georgia, with a really minor military capacity, was fighting with the aggressive at that time, especially when there was no, unfortunately, was not such a unity of international community against Russian Federation. I remember very well in 2008 when Russia aggressively, once again invaded Georgia, and they even came to the capital of Georgia with military forces. How everything restarted, if I can say so again, restarted relations with Russia. Everybody was considering that, Russians have done this, but we have to act with them. It's a huge country with a huge energy sources we are dependent on, and small Georgia cannot change anything. But it was a mistake, as we were at that time advocating as well. Today, Georgia, as we were saying, tomorrow Ukraine, and it was a really well-known words of one Western president that today is Georgia, tomorrow is Ukraine, next day is the Baltic states, and the whole Europe is under the threat of Russian military force and aggression. And this was unfortunately quite a delayed reaction from Western part. I'm really happy that this reaction now is on place, and I'm really happy that the strong pressure is on Russia. But again, it should be continued. It should be continued, and it should be taken not only in case of Ukraine, but as I mentioned already, in case of Georgia, in case of Moldova, in case of other countries which are experiencing Russian aggression. And we have to deliver on this matter, and we have to again to clarify for Russian minds that Georgia is an independent, Western-oriented state, and would it be today or tomorrow, it's going to be the part of the Western alliances.
So, Minister, here you are today in Spain, and of course Spain still has a relatively recent memory of living under a non-democratic regime. It experienced a very successful transition to democracy, but which also entailed lots of difficulties. It went through a long negotiating process with the European community, as it then was, between 1977 and 1986. So Spaniards are familiar with the challenges involved in building a democracy while at the same time preparing the country for EU membership. Are you receiving the support that you would like to receive from Spain? What would you ask Spain to do more of? Take this opportunity to make a formal request, if you will.
Yes, first of all, I would like to express our gratitude towards Spanish government for its support and unwavering support of Georgia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Spain, as well, is a great supporter of Georgia when it comes to the EU integration and NATO integration process, especially during the last period, during the last years. So we have experienced quite a good interaction between our governments, between our legislative bodies. And I really do hope that there is a huge opportunity, a window of opportunity as well to promote such an interaction, especially when it comes cooperation in the security sphere, when it comes cooperation in economic dimension, because as I mentioned already, so Georgia is strategically located, and there are many interesting projects which can be developed, and we always are eager to bring our Western allies, Western partners to be engaged in these projects and to be the part of this project. And I think that Spanish businesses who are slowly entering Georgian market are going to increase their presence and as well their financial contribution to the Georgian economy, because we as well are trying somehow to redirect ourselves from old style oriented markets to the new ones. So the main trade partner of Georgia at this moment is European Union, but we want more. We want to increase this. We want to have more European Union countries engaged in bilateral trade with Georgia, and I think that Spain is a country with whom we can just to be more progressive on this way. And of course, all the experiences which we have when it comes to the EU integration, all the experiences when it comes to the democratization of the country, it's really important for us. And we always are eager to hear, to get your advices and to follow your advices as well to reach the final target.
And perhaps Spain could open an embassy in your capital soon.
It will be great. So we have representation of the Spanish embassy in Tbilisi. Permanently there is a diplomat who is residing in the capital, but our current bilateral relations are giving all the stimulus just to open the full-fledged embassy in the country. It will be really taken really as a positive and strong signal from Spain in Georgia. So we have, that we have a full-fledged embassy already quite a long period in Spain. We are working really actively, and Spanish embassy in Tbilisi will much more promote this interaction, and there will be more understanding about Georgia, not only about Georgia, about the region. I think that it's strategically important for Spain as well to have more vision, more ears and eyes, how Georgia is developing, how region is developing, what the opportunities are within the region, what the opportunities are on the Black Sea region itself, because the Black Sea is becoming, and it already became, as a European Sea. And there are interests of many European countries already presented on the Black Sea littoral states, for example, in the European Union states like Bulgaria and Romania, but as well in Georgia, there is a huge opportunity to be engaged in the processes and to be represented in the processes of the development of the Black Sea security and the Black Sea transportation as well.
Well, I know you have a very active and efficient embassy here in Madrid, so out of a sense of reciprocity and solidarity, I very much look forward to seeing Spain open an embassy in your country as well. Ambassador, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Pleasure for me as well.